Hey there, this is Troy Baker, and this is a piece of Schmidt.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Piece of Schmidt podcast, the podcast where we sit around this table and muse the world's greatest quandaries. Today, maybe for real.
Oh.
To my left is Wes.
Hello.
Baumgardner. To my right is James.
Hello.
David Kircher, and we are Derailed. Please go to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. If you like what you see, head on over to patreon.com/derailed and give us some money.
Monet.
And then we'll give you stuff too.
Monet.
Thank you for supporting us and watching this video. Everyone who does, we love you.
Especially you.
And you.
And you.
And you.
When? 1,000. So, today's topic will not be off the whim because I thought of it beforehand. And it is the...
Bum bum bum.
It's about 3 months old news, but still relevant because NASA has published a paper that has been peer-reviewed that confirms the testing and the working EM, electromagnetic drive, which is a zero compulsion propulsion system.
The what, and the what?
Can both of you get off your fucking phones?
I'm looking this up since I don't know what it is.
And
I'm gonna describe it to you.
I am tweeting to our fans.
Okay.
I can.
I'll wait.
We need to do this. This is
wait.
things that we need to do.
I'll wait. Let's wait. Let's just wait it out.
Okay. Tweet has been sent.
So before we recorded, you were talking. I was talking to you a little bit about it, and you said what?
I said, because you said this engine will invalidate the third law of motion.
Yes.
I said, how? Mm-hmm. That's where we got to. And I said, there's already 100% electric cars. Because you said because there's no emissions.
Yeah.
There's no exhaust. There's no any of that. That means
there is no. So the third law is equal and opposite force, right?
Yes.
So there is no opposite force making this engine produce motion.
So it's not turning anything. It's not because
Microwaves. So it's a cone. Essentially, right?
Okay.
It's a cone. They bounce microwaves back and forth, and it in a vacuum, and it creates motion.
okay.
However, this goes against the laws of physics of the third law of motion. So the electric car thing is because in the electric car situation, you have these new parking spaces which have what in them?
The
Plugins, right?
So you mean it doesn't consume anything?
Doesn't consume or expulse anything.
So it's not so much getting past the third law of motion. It's basic.
No, it is.
I'm getting to the point about almost creating perpetual motion. Because,
in a way, yeah.
Okay, so will it hold a charge infinitely?
It doesn't have a charge.
So how does it power the microwaves?
Exactly. So here's what happened. In 1999, hold on. I'm going to get the guy's name. Should have done this beforehand. Roger Scheuer, back in 1999, it was a British inventor, came up with the idea of the electromagnetic drive. Okay?
Okay.
And because of Newton's third law, everyone around him said he was crazy.
Batshit crazy.
Yes.
That thing, right?
Yeah.
C.
So in 2005, these what they call in this article rogue NASA engineers built something of what he wrote out basically and tested it. Are you listening?
I'm listening.
Mm-hmm.
They tested it, okay? And it worked, all right? So they spent the next 10 years trying to figure out how. Because they did the experiment expecting to be like, yeah, see, it doesn't work. And then it worked. So then they tested it again, and it kept working. And so then they changed a variable, and it kept working. And so they basically just kept testing it, trying to figure out for 10 years that, not that how to make it work, but why the fuck does this work? It should not work. So that's fucking crazy.
So this is not for car level. This is for space flight, interstellar flight. Okay.
Correct. This is the reason that Elon Musk has been saying that we can get to Mars by like 2070. He basically, in the peer-reviewed paper where they like write out super fucking crazy shit that I wouldn't understand.
You look at it and it's like, those are symbols.
They say they were not trying to optimize this at all. They were literally just trying to see if it worked and then trying to figure out how it fucking worked. So they're like, optimization of this thing at its best could probably get us to Mars in 70 years.
Wow.
Not like in 70 years, but it takes 70 years from Earth to Mars.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is fucking crazy, right? And it doesn't produce anything. It doesn't. You can't ask me how it works.
No. Okay, I got it. And after seeing that it's for space flight, it makes a little bit more sense because there's nothing acting on once it gets into space. I'm assuming you can't launch with this. But from how I'm understanding, you can't break Earth's gravity. There wouldn't be enough power because if the article,
Right.
the article I
Correct.
was looking up, it doesn't produce a super amount of power, but it produces in a vacuum of space. You don't need much to move.
Correct. In right now, it produces 1.2 kilonewtons per kilowatt. So it's compared to that, like this super powerful engine produces 60 kilonewtons per kilowatt. The only other non-emulsion propulsion engine produces like 662 millinewtons per kilowatt. So like way lower than this EM engine. But again, that's why I stated before, they were very clear about saying that they didn't optimize it. So 1.2 is like them testing it to see why it worked and how it worked. Not saying like, how do we make this work to the best of its ability?
Yeah.
So,
But now with this paper published, I'm like, okay, let's move to stage 3 testing or 4 testing. Let's optimize this.
yeah. So like there's a engineering side of it that is mind-blowing and stuff. What's more interesting to me is that they now have to like rewrite science books, right? They now have to rewrite Newton's third law.
Well, they don't necessarily have to, because you could apply Newton's third law to Earth. Because again, gravity will be affecting it.
Yeah.
If it gets more power, if they do optimize it to the 60, you said, kilowatts per, or kilonewtons per kilowatt, then yeah, it would affect on Earth. But right now, you walk faster than that because you can affect gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's only the third law, right? It's like, so because it's not producing anything to make itself go, like, so the law is any force has to be acted on by an equal and opposite force, right?
Yeah.
And now it's like most, right? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like now there's this subset of things that defy these laws that got us to the moon or put things in orbit. Like, that's fucking crazy. It's really easy to like pass this along and be like, that's pretty cool. But like legitimately, like this is a change in science that is like monumental.
Yeah.
Like this will be talked about in 100 years.
Yeah, because
Yep.
Sir Isaac Newton lived what time period again?
1700s?
1700s?
Yeah, I
Maybe
don't know.
earlier?
So that's how many years of believing one thing, and then all of a sudden it's like,
Right.
poof.
Yeah.
Just kidding. It's
It's-
really this.
It's not so much just kidding. It's he's like 99% right.
Well,
Except
the reason that I'm super interested in it, and my final point, and then I'll shut up, is the reason that it's disproving it is the whole reason that I like quantum physics is because the rules of physics are of standard physics and bowling balls and tennis balls are backwards or like non-existent at the quantum level. And that's what's going on in this EM drive. Is the reason it is way above my head, but it comes down to one theory in quantum physics. It comes down to two theories in quantum physics that split physicists. And one is that every particle is in an infinite number of positions until it's observed, which could be as simple as everything behind me that I'm not looking at, every particle that makes up that wall, right, that I'm not looking at is in every possible position until I look at it and then it snaps into place. Like that's a quantum physics theory. Okay, but that theory disproves the reason that this works. The way it works is by saying that every particle has a fixed position, right? And it's basically it's split quantum physicists up into two different groups. There's string theory and then there's centrifugal theory, right? There's fixed position and every possible position. So that's the part that like makes me excited about it. But then you also have this engineering side of it, like how do they build this? We can go to Mars, we can do this, we can do that.
How
but
do you
like
optimize it?
That thing about the rules and physics that run our world are so different when you split us apart at the deepest level and get to our atoms and molecules and the quantum side of it. All that stuff goes out the window, which bleeds into religion. It bleeds into the higher power. Like there's something else controlling this, and that makes me so excited because there isn't an answer for it.
You want to know what blew my mind about physics? I used to play pool with a physics professor in Florida, and he goes, the human brain is so fascinating when you mix it with physics. Because if you think about it, a pool player, to be good at his craft, you're using a stick that has a round tip to hit a round ball into another round ball into a round pocket. He goes, when you break down the physics of that, do you know how perfect you have to hit everything together for that to work like that? And when you stop and you think about it, and it's like, holy shit. Like, and he goes into geometry and all that stuff and everything, and it's just like, but he's like, from round to go to round to go to round to go into round.
Sure.
He's like, it's fucking mind blowing.
Yeah. Sure. That's the other cool thing is like standard physics, the pool balls and the bowling balls and the dropping and and like that's fascinating in itself. Like the whole thing about relativity, okay? The first thing I learned about relativity blew my mind because, okay, so it's in Stephen Hawking's book,
Theory of
Brief
Everything?
History
Brief
of
History of
Everything, is observation. So if I bounce a ping pong ball right here, right, boom, it goes down at point A and point B, right? And then bounces up, and then 1 second has passed, and then it bounces again right at point A and point B. Okay, so the ball, from your perspective, has moved nothing. It stayed the same. Okay, now put me on a train.
Right? Oh, yeah.
And then Wes is sitting outside the train.
Yeah.
And I tell Wes to tell me where the ball hit and where the ball hit again. And so I'm going and I drop the ball and it goes boom, and then it goes up here. And so it's like, so to him, the ball traveled 20 feet.
Yeah.
But you're on the train with me.
Right.
And you're like, no, the ball traveled nothing. It stayed on the table. You guys would argue because it's relativity.
Yeah.
That's
That's
crazy to me.
Yep.
So, but then there's this other part of it where you break the ping pong ball apart into its atoms and its quantum physics, and all that shit goes away. And we get EM drives where you test them out and they work, and the smartest minds in the world are like, that shouldn't work. That shouldn't work.
Whoa, what the hell?
It's literally magic. It's magic. It's religion. It's oh, man.
See, that's why I like science, because it comes down to a science fiction quote I heard a long time ago. Science is just magic we can explain.
Totally, dude. Totally.
I mean, think of it this way. We're all old enough to remember when, cell phones were first starting to become popular.
Yep.
Go back 20 years and show them this.
Yeah.
Show them what this fucking thing does.
Oh, yeah.
But my point is that now we have science is magic that we can't explain.
Yeah. So now we're in magic.
That's awesome.
Because like the smartest minds on the planet are looking at this thing. The smartest physicists and engineers are looking at this thing and like,
How in the fuck?
we've been trying to do that for decades, or we've been told for hundreds of years that this can't be done, and you did it. How the fuck did that work?
Yeah.
See, my
That's
questions
crazy.
then come down to more of an engineering side. What powers it?
Right.
How does it stay powered? And how do you? Because there's nothing being consumed to create it. It's essentially creating its own energy somehow.
Yeah.
Which
what are the possibilities of that? You could essentially could we power cities? Could that be the end of fossil fuels? Could it? I mean, I don't know, and they don't know. But they got enough evidence to publish a paper it's peer reviewed, and all that means is that you can quote it in collegiate papers and stuff like that.
That means it's been verified. It's been authenticated.
Yeah.
Would be another one.
But there's enough learned about it that they can do that and still not know. They're basically like, it could be this or this.
Yeah.
Damn, this has been a good couple of weeks for science then, because SpaceX had their first successful launch and landing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this has got to be a good week for Mr. Musk.
Man,
Yeah, right?
crazy, dude.
I have a pretty cool thing on global warming. So,
That hoax.
yeah. So that's been the everybody that's like a climate defier, basically, always comes back around to something that they could say is scientific to disprove actual scientists, right? So this new study that just came out, it was published in Science Advances by the NOAA. They first discovered in 2015, basically, that all the readings that they take on atmospheric temperature is getting warmer. That's how they're talking about global warming, blah, blah, blah. But all of the readings that they've taken from ocean temperatures, the surface is not getting warmer, right? Mm-hmm. At least not at all anything that would affect, the Earth or whatever. And so basically they take readings by three ways. And they're basing this all on human error, right? So basically, the new study is showing that the oceans are warming up faster, even faster than we thought, which is now they're estimating 75%.
Jesus.
Faster than what we originally thought. According to a big chunk of ocean surface temperature recorded by boats, because there's three ways they do it: boats, buoys, and satellites.
Okay.
Not Battlestar Galactica. Or Bruce. Hello, Bruce. So that always mystified scientists. Like, why was the surface temperatures not getting any higher when atmospheric temperatures were, right? So that's what all the non-believers always used to come back around to and say, no.
The water's not warming up, so you're wrong.
Right, exactly. And that's our scientific proof, blah, blah, blah. So a new study now published by Science Advances has confirmed what the NOAA first discovered in 2015, that oceans are indeed warming and faster than we thought. It comes down to what every scientist knows too well: analyzing data collected by different methods and at different times is a tricky business, because some methods of collecting ocean surface temperatures are more accurate than others. The new study confirmed that data collected by boats were slightly different than data collected by buoys and satellites. So when scientists combined all of the data, it skewed results. To identify what's really happening, the new study analyzed numerous data sets individually instead of combining them all together. And they've discovered that oceans have been warming about 70% more per decade for the last 19 years than previously thought. So now the only other argument that's coming into play now is people are already on message boards and threads and stuff saying, well, so now you're just gonna just throw away one set of readings and just use the other two because that helps prove your theory more. Mm. And they just start doing that. Blah, 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 and
So you know how the best way to counter that? You're going to ignore two sets of readings to only listen to your one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's basically what the argument is now since 2015.
We'll always have this argument until something more drastic happens, until something that no one can say that didn't happen.
Right, Bruce? Yep, I agree.
Even Bruce is like, those people are stupid.
And I'm pretty fucking dumb.
Bruce.
He's Batman.
Big snort.
I love science, man. I love getting excited about science because I go back and forth. So many different things going on.
Well, there's sometimes where most of the big breakthroughs in science are medical science,
Yeah.
which is great, but
Come on.
they're not curing a lot of stuff. It's like advances in techniques or advances in detecting
Right.
cancer earlier and that kind of stuff, which is all fantastic. Like, I think the last bit of medical science I cared about a lot was a couple years ago. This kid from MIT or something discovered a new way to fight cancer. Like, it has like a 90%. It's 90% more effective than chemo or something like that. That was cool. But you're right. Like, this is cool science because it's affecting the entire world. Like, we don't have. I'm assuming we don't have cancer, so it doesn't affect us.
Yeah.
It's cool. It'll be cool for the future, but this engine could affect us. I mean,
Yeah.
Have you seen Shark Tank?
yes,
Have you seen the guy that went up there and asked for $10 million?
no,
Do you know why he asked for $10 million?
why?
He's a scientist, right? And he said, I've developed a way to harvest kinetic energy from the oceans using turbine windmills that sit on the ocean, and I need $10 million to make this happen. He's like, I have a little tiny scale of how I can do it. He's like, I've recreated ocean waves and currents and the movement of the ocean and everything, and I could harvest it this way. And he powered up this little tiny thing, and he's like, if we can build one this size, it'll harvest this much energy, and we can get away from coal. And they all said no, because it's not proven.
It's not proven, and
Everybody said you're 20 years away from making this happen.
no, he's one good investor away from making that happen.
Well, 4 out of the 5 invest in big oil, so
That's why he needed to go on when they had a guest who
yeah.
I don't know. Sure, what the hell?
Yeah, they all fucking do it. They all invest in oil. You kidding me? It's a profitable business.
No, I'm talking like who was it? Like Ashton Kutcher guest for a week.
Really?
Yeah, he's an entrepreneur.
It's terrifying because there's like legitimate things that can help, but like this corporate.
You'll always have an Edison fucking over a Tesla.
Yeah. It's really scary. Makes me sad.
Fuck, I think if we bring that up, Tesla was pretty close to wireless power.
I know.
Yeah.
Tesla was pretty close to solving a lot of problems.
Yeah.
You hear about the electric car in the 80s that they, the car companies killed and shit. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
It's because we have a currency system in the world. If we could somehow go do what they do in, I'll throw science fiction to their Star Trek, where they got rid of all currency, where everything is basically just.
We'll go back to trade and barter.
Not even trade and barter. You literally just work or join. At that point, join the army. It's like, okay, we'll provide you with food, lodgings, all
You're
that
going
stuff.
to have a craft, or you're going to fight for our America.
Pretty much.
I don't know if I like that though. I like doing my podcast.
You could still do your podcast.
You just have to do crops as
I don't
well.
have time
Why?
because I'm in the fields.
So you're
In
gonna,
the fields.
you're gonna work 24 hours a day?
Yeah. I'm going to be too tired to do the podcast. I'm like, oh my God. I
Energy
didn't
drinks-
watch a movie again this week.
Energy drinks exist.
But he's working in the fields for the man. If I could live in 1984, I would. George Orwell, I mean. Not like the year.
I was like, I lived in 84. It was pretty much the same.
Was this terrifying?
With worse
I'm
fast
assuming
was
it
5.
scary.
I was 5.
Goddamn Big Brother. But
That's
yeah.
a terrible show.
Really? Never seen it. My mom likes it.
Spies. It's all about spies.
So have you ever been anally penetrated?
What? You can't close every show with these personal West questions.
I was asking you.
No.
Yeah, I was looking at you asking him. That makes sense. Idiot.
I just tried lemons.
What?
My
Lemons.
shirt.
Oh.
Combustible lemons. Is that a Portal shirt? Is that what
Yes,
that
it is.
He has never played it.
You need to play both Portals.
Why?
They're good games.
Can I play them on PS4?
I don't think they're in
They might be in the store.
the now.
Yeah.
Live in the now.
See, I want that kind of science. Portal guns and gravity guns.
Soon.
You never know, man.
we just broke physics.
But there's
so.
that. I know there's that funny Big Bang Theory quote where it's like Penny and Leonard's first date or whatever. She's like, "How was work?" He's like, "Well, I thought about stuff," because he's like a physicist or whatever.
Yeah.
She's like, "Really? You didn't really do anything?" He's like, "Nothing's really happened in physics for like 200 years."
That is pretty funny.
Actually, no. It's like since the 80s, I think.
Yeah.
Whenever they invented string theory. Still can't wrap my head around that one. Because basically everything is a string or like a circle that like vibrates, and like that's what we all are at the core or something. I don't know. It somehow brings all science together. It's weird.
Well,
I can't wrap my head.
That's truly what all scientists are looking for, is the
Exactly.
unifying,
The unified theory. Yeah,
the one thing that ties everything together.
yeah.
Tacos.
Boggles my mind, man. You ever seen that movie? What the bleep do we know?
No, but I've wanted to.
It's good. It's not good. It's a lot of it's disproven, but it makes you think about it.
I also want to watch because they did a show based on Hawking's book.
The Cosmos.
Not the Cosmos. No. Great show though.
Yeah. I'm not sold on Tyson as a host, though. He's a little awkward. He's definitely a scientist. Not so much a personality.
What about the Morgan Freeman one?
That one's so, like, off the wall.
Through the wormhole or something like that?
No, I can't get into it. It's too, like...
It's funny that
Ooh.
it's funny that he hosts that too, because he's an avid fucking religious.
Yeah.
And has played God on what,
Yeah.
2 different occasions?
3.
3? Bruce Almighty.
Shawshank Redemption.
Is he God in that?
I assume.
Might as well be.
Is he just God in everything? he's in?
Dufresne, Search Party of 4, Dufresne. Andy Dufresne.
There's a missing persons quest in The Division to find Mike Dufresne.
Mike Dufresne.
It's so funny.
Every time we go to find him.
You
We can't eat until we find this fuck.
Party of 2? No?
Search Party of 3.
Wilson, Party of 3. Wait, what happened to the Dufresnes? All right, well, that was the science episode of the Peter Schmidt podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope you correct everything wrong that we said in the comments. Because really, we're all idiots, and we're not trying to prove that we know anything, but we just want to talk about it because it's funny and it's interesting and it makes us happy. So
More on the interesting side. Very interesting.
yeah. Really gets me like a science boner, man, I'm telling you. Like, I get chills.
They're multiplying.
I hate grease, though. You just, like, totally, like, you didn't make my boner go away. You chopped it off.
Grease
At the
lightning.
nub. No. Go to the social networks and say that you like us. Go to your friends and say that you like us.
Bruce! Talk about Bruce if you want.
But as you know, the number one rule of Derailed is don't talk about Derailed. So just keep doing that, I guess, because that seems to be working for you. Just kidding. I love you. And keep watching. We will see you next time. Good night.